grew up in Southern California, but I made Oregon my home for the last 13 years. These are all the things that we are bringing with us today.
Holy cow.
This is a cavalcade of craziness. On our way to Capital City Theater. All right, we will be at our destination at 8:31 at Capital City Theater. So guess how many hours of sleep I got today? I got negative hours of sleep.
Oh, awesome. I love it when we're running on fumes.
I got 25 minutes of sleep, I think, last night. So,
oh, it's fabulous.
yeah. So, and I'm pumped on Rockstar. I brought another Rockstar. Hopefully, I don't have a heart attack in the middle of shooting, because I've heard of people dying exhaustion to World of Warcraft games. So,
but your work will be fabulous.
Stellar. Hopefully, Yeah, you'll play the movie on my little monitor in my hospital room,
Yes.
and I'll be brain dead. Say, Roman, you did it! Look how entertaining it is, and I'll be like,
A little bit of drool coming down the corner.
yeah.
Yeah.
Get his applesauce off his chin there. Non-stop planning for like the last couple days. Endless inventory. I was pretty loaded up last night, and then I ended up, I that's why I got the 25 minutes of sleep, because I was not going to spend this morning like sleepy, trying to carry everything. And I just had to load a couple, it was mainly food items. I also did some creative shopping. I got Michelini's dinners, 68 cents each at Winco, for our fancy bistro dinner. I'm going to heat those up as soon as we get to the theater. Everything is coming together too. The puppets came at the last minute too. That was the keystone of the entire production, and I was anxious like you would not believe. They're designed specifically, and I'm like, if we didn't get them, if I got them after shooting day, what am I gonna do with these puppets? So they're in the car in the back there. When I first started writing, my first completed short film was Harvest Night. I didn't care if it was a good script. I just wanted to get it done. I already had contacted actors. I've had people ask me, other creators, they say, well, Roman, how do you do it? How do you get a production done? And I said, well, I make it like an assignment, like a homework assignment. I set deadlines, and then I contact people. I said, hey, you want to do something? 2 months down the line, I know I'm going to have to film something because I contacted somebody. I don't want to be that guy with just, oh, that's Roman, that's the guy with ideas. He's always talking about his ideas. I don't want to be the loafer. I want to be the doer. Like a reputation that you have to keep up. You don't want people just thinking that you're not going to do anything ever. So yeah, we got Harvest Night made, and that was it wasn't the best film ever. It had good actors though. I think it was a little too ambitious, the idea, but the script did not live up to the idea. So I think I've improved in terms of my writing. I just it's an evolving process.
Do you think of yourself as a writer who makes films, or as a filmmaker who writes his own scripts?
I think of myself actually as a writer first. I really do, because when I was a teenager, I had ideas and I wrote them down and I never finished them. And I was just constantly coming up with ideas. Half-finished, stories, or a third finished stories. So I think of myself as a writer first, and then it's the filmmaking is the reward for writing. Imagine if you write a short story and then you can make something out of it immediately. That's the reward of it. So that's what motivates me to write, to keep satisfaction of getting to work and play with people. And every now and again, you get things that, what do you call it? Little speed bumps along the way. But it all works out in the end. It really does. It's like a theater production. Everybody's like pulling their hair out on Hell Week, the last week of rehearsal for a theater show. Magically, it all comes together, And it's very similar to film, to motion picture. It really is. The difference to me, one of the most striking differences, is that you bring the performance down for the camera, because it just looks like you're screaming at the camera. If you you look like a cartoon character. And then the other difference is you just don't have that audience. You don't have that instant gratification of the energy of the audience. It's all contained. But yeah, I don't know. And being in both areas, it's like I see such a connection between the two. And I love it. It's playing make-believe. It's playing make-believe with everybody, and getting more into the performances of the actors too. I've learned that on the last couple of productions. Like, I really love digging deep with the actor and trying to give the character a background. And I feel I can do that if I wrote the story. I can make it up as I'm going along. But if you have like a Samuel French script, you can't do that. You have to live by the playwright. Yeah, you have to kind of assume certain things when you're getting into it. And that's the kind of scary part. You're assuming that the audience is going to find it meaningful, and you're assuming that the story itself is going to be meaningful, even without an audience. Years ago, and I was about 19 years old. It's not that long ago, but I was watching The Goonies, and I'd rediscovered it. I saw it when I was a kid, and I noticed how beautiful the area was that they filmed in. And I found out it was Astoria, Oregon. And I told my parents, I said, when you guys retire, I said, we should all move up there. We should all move up to Oregon. And I got a bunch of books from the library about Oregon, the Willamette Valley, Eugene, the railroads, the train tracks, all the beautiful things in Oregon. And my dad was retiring back in 2006. He was getting ready, and they came up here for a trip, and they're like, yeah, it's beautiful up here, let's do it, let's move up here. And there's so much more, I think, to Oregon than just the Astoria area. There's the east, there's the Willamette Valley, there's southern Oregon, but the Willamette Valley was just the place to make the home. And I just love the diversity of the land here. If you're a filmmaker, Oregon is the place to be. I mean, it's you can get fields, you can get the beach, the coast, forest, dense forest, city, country. I mean, it just, there's so many different, desert if you want, if you're going to East Oregon, like Ben. But it's, and then you get deer in the middle of your neighborhood street, just walking on by. I'd never seen that before. I'd never seen just like deer hanging out in the middle of the street. So I love the diversity. As a filmmaker, there's so many different areas. And then the thing that gets me as well is the fact that you can't film really that much in the winter if you're going to film exteriors. It rains pretty much from like October all in the way till June. So you better get your footage in for about like 3 or 4 months worth. Bane of a filmmaker is the rain. You can't film in it. I came up with the idea in 2016. I was on a date, and I just had this weird, random idea of a puppet waiter serving us. And then I started thinking more and more about it. It started becoming like a social commentary, like puppets were the new protected class. And I wrote the script in 2017. So I had it on the burner pretty much for a couple of years. So my previous films, I've done mainly sketch comedy type films. Weekly Wines with Gwendolyn, The Farm Report with Britt Gosselin. They were short films designed kind of like, inspired by Saturday Night Live with the sketch idea. The P Word, it's about a couple going out on a date, second date, guy's trying to impress her, going to a fancy restaurant, they encounter a puppet waiter. The puppet waiter, everybody accepts the reality of a puppet waiter in this restaurant, the customers, the host, the lady on the date, but the guy is the only one who, he's like, what am I, in the Twilight Zone here? This is crazy. So he keeps pushing it more and more. it becomes, like he doesn't know why it's happening, to a point where he just gets frustrated and angry, and eventually he becomes a bigot in the end. That's how everybody treats him, reacts to it. It's like a cult-like situation where everybody kind of is drinking the Kool-Aid, and you're kind of like, I've had, I guess the thing, it didn't inspire the P word, but I was in a group interview one time for a job. It was like a sales position, and it was almost like a seminar in a way. It was almost like a motivational seminar, and everybody in the whole, all the people who were applying for it, it just got to a point where I'm like, this is crazy. Everybody's like, they're all kind of digesting this, and I'm like, no, I'm not buying any of this. I decided after I finished school that it was gonna be my first production. Well, it didn't turn out that way. I did another production in 2019 called Ophelia, and then I knew immediately I shot Ophelia that I was going to do the P word. So we officially started production around November. I booked the venues for the auditions, started getting the word out on social media, telling people about auditions, met some really cool people. Some people responded saying, hey, I'd like to take part in your film. I'd like to, connect with you. Some crew people I met through that. Yeah, the pre-production started about November, December. Cast the actors in December after the second audition, decided, and then started the rehearsals mid-January. We did 3 weeks of rehearsals, but just like one rehearsal 1 week, one rehearsal another, and then one the third. I never really had done that kind of rehearsal before for a film, because I usually, my projects usually tend to be so big that I can't afford rehearsals. Well, I take that back. Actually, I've done a couple of sketch comedy shorts like this, where I've been able to afford maybe one rehearsal. I think Weekly Wines with Wendell 2, we did a rehearsal at McMinimans. And we did rehearsals for Alien Photographs. But mostly I don't get time to do that. And I love doing the rehearsals. I really do. If there's a chance that we can get the actors familiar with the script and the blocking and everything, I would definitely do it more. Plus, it's fun. So this compares to some of the other ones is that it's a little more straightforward. It's a little more simple. It's like about a 15-page script. There's no multiple locations or multiple time frames. It's just one location, one evening out on a date. So in terms of kind of, this has been really pushing myself, because I've never worked with a puppet before. So it's just kind of like learning by doing it. In terms of trying to figure out all of the movements, we've been primarily in the rehearsal stage. I realized initially, I thought initially when we were going to do rehearsals that it was going to be the puppeteer and his movements and his blockings, but I realized I also wanted to get performance aspects out of it from everybody, including the puppeteer. In doing the tech rehearsal, this is more about how's it going to look. I just figured I'd throw everything on tech day, lighting, sound, quick shots from the storyboard, and then just trying to figure out the logistics of how, just the height of the table and working around, how he's going to move. Plus, we have a monitor too for the puppeteer as well, so he can view what's going on camera. It's like a theater show when you have the band and they need to see what's going on stage at the time. I met Daniel Smith. We had connected on Facebook. I had been posting things from my page, Roman Films, and then also I started becoming members of film groups like Portland Film Community. So that's how we kind of connected, and mutual film friends in this area. And I just reached out and I asked them, and I said, would you want to be part of the project? In terms of crew, Jeff Kemp, we've had him on, I met him about a year ago, November 2018, on a theater production. And he was like, yeah, I'll do this production. My previous film, Ophelia, and I don't think he knew what he was going to be getting himself into. And he's done everything. He's been a jack of all trades with the entire aspect of the production. And Joyce Gardner, Kemp, I met her back in 2018 doing a theater production. We were both performing in a show together called From Time to Time. And so I asked her if she would be willing to be my my prompter for the actors, and I realize it's a whole lot easier when I'm not having to look at the script while I'm looking in the camera. I met a gentleman named Jacob Sundell, who's also our camera guy. Again, I met him through Facebook, just Portland film community, just posts that I've been putting out there. Seth Allen, I met him through Corona Studio, and Megan Rochelle came out to our auditions. Bill Holznagel, I saw him in a Puppet Slam in Portland in November 2018. And I contacted the lady who put the production on. I said, hey, do you know of anybody who would be interested in doing a short puppet film? And she got Bill, and he was actually my favorite sketch of that entire Puppet Slam. So I felt, very, very fortunate to get him in there. So I went to the Puppet Slam because I wanted to see some alternative entertainment. I've always been a fan of puppets. So they're kind of that heightened reality that you get. And it was an adult Puppet Slam. So there was a lot of comedy, there was poetry, there was shadow puppets, very, very good variety of different artistic elements in this. So our location for rehearsal, a friend of mine named John Ashton, who owns a company called Microtech Precision Incorporated, he generously allowed us to film in his shop for Ophelia. And then I asked him, I said, we're looking for a rehearsal space. Would you by any chance be able to help? And he's like, yeah, I'll help you out. He likes doing this stuff, and so being a part of these productions. So he graciously allowed us to rehearse in his shop. And then in terms of the venue, Capital City, I'd always thought, actually that was in the script of shooting it there, at Capital City Theater in Salem, just because it's got the black box. You can kind of dress it any way you like. It's a quaint, intimate theater. I even had Capital City in the script, which it shouldn't have been in there, but it was always Capital City. That's the hardest part, is just scheduling everything and inventory and organizing everything. That's the toughest part. So I'm very happy and very proud to be working with all these wonderful people here. They've donated their time and energy, and I think this is going to be like nothing else, the P word. Acting style has gotten to the point now where it's very actor-centric. Because I'm an actor, I've done several theater productions. I really like to get into it with the actors, and I think they appreciate it. I've gotten feedback from them that they enjoy it, it's fun, and they really enjoy, it kind of helps them delve into the character more, it helps their performance. My directing style in terms of technical is not super technical, because I've had crew people, especially on this production, deliver some lingo to me that I'm not familiar with. I don't even really know my camera, I have to admit. I don't know all the little intricacies of my camera. I'm more of just I just get up, I do it, I press the button. I just make sure it looks good in the camera. Whatever I have to do to adjust it, the lighting, if it's the lighting, or if it's just, I know I can't stand seeing things in the frame, like if somebody's shoes are in the frame, or if there's some colorful thing in the frame that I don't like, I just go by what looks good in my own eye. As far as directors that have influenced me, I'd say John Carpenter's influenced me. I love the fact that he composes his own music. I love the fact that it seems like he's got a really good crew of people and actors that he works with. There's something kind of homey about John Carpenter, something kind of kind of rough, but at the same time, he seems to just wrangle his own productions together, and it's his style, it's his unique style, and they're always fun to watch, no matter what movie it is. And then I'll say recently, I'll name drop a fellow actor of mine who I've worked with. He's been on my productions, and then I've been in productions with him, is Lance Nutman from Gallery Theater. We did a production of Frost Nixon, and that was the first time I ever worked with Lance where he was the director. Lance really got into it. I mean, he deep into the character, and I wasn't a big character or anything. But he gave us all the opportunity to really get into it, and I took that with me. It's when I do my next short film, I'm gonna definitely take that kind of feel for my next film. So that's my directing style. Very actor heavy, and then just not super technical, but I go by what I like, what looks good in the camera. To me, that's the most important thing. The difference between being a director is that you're calling the shots. Everybody's asking you questions, and you're guiding the ship, every little detail. You're telling the actors what to do. You're telling, if you have a crew, you're telling them, what you want it to look like. Now, the difference between being my own cinematographer versus having somebody else do it, or just having a crew. On this production, we have a sound guy, we have a camera guy. It's weird because it's like, I feel like I need that control. I like to be in control. I like to be steering the ship, which I am, but I like to have every single facet of the ship. When you get into bigger productions, you got to let that go. You have to trust other people's point of view, and then you have to be able to trust the fact that they see eye to eye with you. You have to communicate very well to them. The first time I ever got the flavor of that was the production Love a Clown. We did most of the footage between 2014 and 2016. And then in 2017, right before we did the premiere, I decided to add drone footage. Met this guy named Scott Bones. He brought this gentleman with him, and he came up with him, and he was the aerial cinematographer. I didn't even know such thing exists. But Scott Bones did Adam was his name, the aerial cinematographer. But anyways, Scott piloted the drone, and Adam basically got the light reading, the ISO. He said, okay, it's in good frame. All right, we got it. And then he just told Scott, all right, go. So, and Adam communicated with me. He's like, okay, how do you want it? How do you want the shot? And I had never had that before. I never had somebody actually doing something for me. And I had to communicate my vision to him, ever. When I do it on my own, I'm already doing my own vision. But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. In Ophelia, my last production, I did not do a lot of cinematography because it took so long to do the scenes. And there was a lot more complicated elements to it, like, shooting an actor in a dual role. We had a beach scene that we did. It was so complicated. And Love a Clown was like the movie that I really went full on cinematography with the lighting and the framing, and just made it look sumptuous to the eyes. That's what I wanted. And I hope to do that again soon. I hope to really get heavily into my lighting. Salem is a great town to film in. It's a great town.
I'm Jeff Kemp, and I'm here at Capital City Theater in Salem, Oregon, and we're doing rehearsal day for the P Word. And so we're just kind of getting everything set up right now, and getting lights and camera and things get set up. So into the rehearsals, I think one of the things that we played around with a lot was lighting. When you start off at the very first rehearsal, you don't really have a lot to go on yet, because people haven't really built up their parts. They haven't really built up they don't have their costumes. They don't have any of that stuff. So it's neat to kind of see things come together and actually, form into the P Word. And as far as the crew and the tech side of things, just playing with the lighting and everything. But I fill in for different things. I do cameraman sometimes. I do lighting sometimes. I do sound sometimes. And then on the movie Ophelia we did, that's pretty much what I did there too. So production assistant also. So if Roman needs like a prop or something all of a sudden, then I usually can come up with one or something. I met Roman about a year ago when we were doing a video promo for Miss Julie. And and so he asked me, he said, well, do you want to get involved with a project, you know? And I said, yeah. And I had no idea what I was getting myself into, and so we ended up doing this 2-month-long shoot that went all over Salem and McMinnville and everything else. And so basically my background kind of started with Roman films. I told Roman, I said, I'm kind of green, put me wherever you want me. And so, and one of the cool things was I got to actually do some acting too. So, and he's got some future spots as well. But my experience has been pretty minimal. I've made like little short films here and there. You know, written a couple of scripts, but other than that, Roman films is kind of my first step. So I have been in a couple, or been in a restaurant when couples are having an argument, but usually they're pretty quiet about it. So it's obvious to everybody in the restaurant that something's going down, but they're usually discreet about it. But we've all been there. I mean, everybody's had it, but nothing like this before. Nothing like this. I think Troy is like, you know, culturally, he's kind of the guy. He's kind of like the yesterday's guy. It's like, you know, we have all our society is changing, and we're having to, you know, make adaptations politically, you know, to accommodate people's feelings and stuff like that. But some people feel that we go too far, you know, and so this script or this movie will actually kind of play with, you know, people's fears versus, you know, moving forward and getting past things like stereotypes and stuff like that, and you know, fears about immigration and stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to have our puppeteer kind of down below the table, and hopefully we'll be able to sort of set the cameras up in such a way that we can just have the puppet interacting with the two actors, and we won't have the top of anybody's head. And there's going to be a monitor that he uses, that the puppeteer uses to that he'll have his lines and stuff on, so he can be kind of crouched down, and he won't have to really interact with anything that's going on up above him except for what the puppet is doing. So. And that's basically, I think, what we're trying to capture more than anything is the ambiance of, you know, the restaurant and the waiter and the people and the situation, you know, and just sort of bring the audience through that. You know? I think Ophelia was the big film, and so this one I'm really just kind of more of a helper on, you know. But the last one I was much more involved, and so I'm looking forward to all the things that we're going to be doing on this one, and all the, you know, lighting and camera and all that. But really, I just kind of, I go wherever I'm needed. So that's pretty much it.
I'm Daniel Smith. We're here at Capital City Theater in Salem, Oregon. We're shooting the P-Word today, nice little puppet movie. I'm the head of the audio department for the shoot. Roman found me, I think he found me through social media. Pretty active and all that, so we met for drinks down at Archive, and I was kind of hesitant at first, but then I went through the script. He told me about the script, and that sold me. This is kind of a passion project for him, and so it's really fun to be on. So luckily enough, we're shooting in a theater. Audio-wise, it's going to be pretty clean, pretty smooth. There is a church next door, and we are Sunday morning, so we may get a little bit of bleed over from that, but nothing we can't handle. Audio-wise, I'm kind of a legacy. My dad was an audio guy, did live sound and all that, so of course, growing up, I did not want to do what my dad did, so went off and did other stuff, and then realized, no, I'm an audio guy. That's kind of what it is. So I've been doing audio for movies and television and documentaries for 15 years now. So, but yeah, it's my life. Growing up in audio field, I've ran across a lot of new people trying to get into the industry, trying to do sound. They'd always have a couple different aspects where they would know what the numbers mean, but they wouldn't know the other theory, or they know it sound good, but they wouldn't know why. I started taking on interns and stuff like that, and eventually I ended up at Clackamas Community College and teaching audio classes there for film and video. But this last summer I just finished doing audio on a musical called Whiskey Dixie. That's a raunchy outlaw country musical. Shot that completely in Vernonia, almost all in a bar. But as an audio guy, being the head of audio department for a musical, it was a great challenge. It was really fun. Then, of course, doing this should be really fun to do. Anything with a puppet's going to be fun. Next up, it's award season for me. So next up, it's just going through everything that just went to Sundance and Slam Dance and all that I worked on, and watching the awards come in. So.
Behind leads extras, places.
Hi, I'm Bill Holtznagel. I'm the puppeteer for the P-Word, and we're here in Salem doing a tech run-through today. and we're going to shoot next week. Well, Roman contacted me through a person I know who runs the Puppet Slams in Portland. I do a lot of puppetry in Portland for the Puppet Slams, they're basically like poetry slams, but for puppets. And it's between 2 and 10 minutes. There's a national slam that goes on every 2 years in Atlanta and every other year with the National Puppetry Festival. So the difference between a puppet, a Muppet, and a marionette. Well, first of all, a Muppet is what Jim Henson created. And a puppet is anything that a puppeteer gives life to. And a marionette is a type of puppet with strings. There are a lot of different types of puppets also, but those are the things that people generally know. This is a hand and rod puppet that I'm working with. So what I'm working with is a lot like a Muppet, but because Muppets are owned by the Jim Henson Company, they are not Muppets. But Muppets are hand and rod puppets. So I started working with puppets when I was in college. I was directing a show, and it called for a little rat dog that a woman was carrying the whole time, and it would bark and growl and things. But we didn't have a puppet. And I had taken prosthetics classes, so I knew in general how to do it, but I hadn't done that complex of a mold before. So I contacted some puppeteers in Portland who hired me after they gave me a hand with that. This I just got at Harbor Freight. There's nothing special about it. It just has wheels on it and it's low. I use it for other puppet performances, which are a lot higher than what we're doing. I started in theater in college, and I stopped doing theater because it seems like there's always someone who comes in with issues, or there are always more people than I'd like to have involved in theater. But with puppets, I can work with one person or just myself. It's a lot easier. I get to write and direct myself and figure out the scenery, the music, all of that. It's a lot easier for me. So Roman contacted the producer up in Portland of the Puppet Slams, and she let me know that somebody was looking for a puppeteer and if I'd be interested. So that's how I met him. I met him through Facebook. I've done music videos. I was in a children's show for 4 years, made mascots before. I like to build mascots with a friend of mine who's also a puppeteer. He had 2 kids, and so he's pretty unavailable now. This is a rehearsal puppet because the puppet that we're using hasn't arrived yet. It's going to arrive this week, which is a good thing because we need it next week. And this is just something I have around. There's a puppet lab that I do in Portland every 2 weeks for the last 3 years, and we need the rehearsal puppets of different varieties. So we have this hand and rod. We have hand puppets, which are the puppets where you go like this, and you have the head is on index finger, and each of these is one of the hands. And we have bunraku puppets as well. Bunraku is a Japanese style of puppetry, which takes a long time to learn, about 30 years until you get to operate the head. Kabuki theater came out of bunraku puppetry. The puppet lab that we do in Portland, I've done for about 3 years with colleagues of mine, people I've worked with before, and we showcase different varieties. It's really a skills workshop where, one day we might be working on just different puppet walks, walking on and walking off, lip syncing, character development, script writing, some retreats from time to time where we build for a weekend. We get a lot of people who are interested, sucked into it. So there's really a variety of things we do at the Puppet Lab. This right here is, the character I'm playing is a waiter, and waiters have trays and bring things to tables. So this is a rod that's attached to the tray so that another person can come in holding this and balancing whatever's on it. I believe there's some water on it at one point, which is going to be heavy, so we need another person to do that.
Hi, I'm Megan. I'm here at Cap City on filming day. I will be portraying Hannah in the P Word. So I'm really nervous because, as you can hear, my voice is kind of going away. So I'm trying to talk as little as possible until it's time to film. But you know, you gotta do what you gotta do, especially in this situation where we have one day to shoot and everything's booked and everyone's here and you just have to roll with it, you know? Hannah is a very bubbly, happy person. She loves her job even though it's demanding. She just wants to find someone to spend a lot of time with who treats her well and is very nice, and she really thinks Troy could be it. So I met Roman online. He did a casting call for this piece. He did a little summary of what the script was kind of about and how to...
So to the left, like right behind the door, got people coming in here.
All right.
how to... So he just did the casting call. I came to auditions, and then I went to a callback where I met Seth, my counterpart. And then after that, we got emailed the script. I printed it out, highlighted my lines, and now we're here. So I've been in theater since the 6th grade actively. I only stopped for a little while to have my first daughter. I primarily act with Kaiser Homegrown Theater. It's my hometown, so it feels really cool to be a part of a theater there. About 2 years ago, I did my first short film with a gentleman named Adam Lansky. I've done a couple of his pieces since, and this is my first film that's not one of his, so it's really cool to go through a different filming process than I'm used to. Adam and Roman are two entirely different filmmakers. Adam he has his idea and he sort of runs with it, and Roman is very meticulous. He plans everything and he communicates everything, and everything's been thought about, and my other experience is just kind of making it happen and doing it, and it's been really rewarding being a part of both experiences. So working at Cap City is a little interesting since it's a business. We have to be very, respectful of the surroundings, but it's also a theater within itself. So like right now we're in the green room and it's very comfortable, very relaxed. There's things all over the wall to make you laugh. Where we're gonna set up the dining room is really just an audience area, but we're really transforming it, and I'm excited to see how that plays out. This cast has been really fun. It's primarily just my opposite, Seth Allen. He's just there, he's with it, and he's paying attention, which is really nice because I've worked with people who aren't there. So he's also comes from that theater background, so it's nice to have someone with the same kind of foundation as me and to be working with them. So working with the puppet is fantastic. A wonderful puppeteer. He is funny. He's great at ad-libbing and just flying off the handle with whatever in his accent that is Alberto, our puppet. He really just does a wonderful job. And even though I'm not looking at a person, Jeff does a really great job of making Alberto really feel like he's there. Like that is him. And there is no person under the table.
My name is Seth Allen, and I'm playing Troy in The P Word, directed by Roman. We're here at location that we're going to be using. We're doing a tech rehearsal, kind of working through some of the lights, blocking, costumes, sound, things like that. I met Roman when I co-founded a theater company in town called the Verona Studio, and we were working on a production of a show that we did a couple seasons ago, and Roman came in and did some production photography for us, and so that's why I'd known of him, met him very quickly other times, but really got to know him then, got to know his skills as a photographer, and then I think he reached out and asked if I'd be interested in reading for this part. He sent me the script, and it was very intriguing, specifically the puppet interaction. I thought that would be fun. I'd never really done that exactly like that before, and I thought the story was really interesting as well. When I'm looking for a project, the first thing is the script. What the story is, and how well it's written, how well it's what the concept is, and if possible, I'll try to talk to the director about what they want to do with it. Roman asked me if I'd be interested in reading this.
said yes. He sent it over, and I read it, and yeah, it was interesting. It not only was well written, but I could see myself being interested in doing the role of Troy. So I immediately got back to him and said yes. So with Troy, it's interesting. He thinks of himself as someone who is really aware of social issues, and he really means well, but this was something that kind of blindsides him. And one of the things I think about is, what does this character do immediately when he leaves? You know, he's put in kind of this crucible of a situation where everybody else seems to think a different way than he does, which he's probably not in that situation very often. So his immediate reaction is to lash out. I'm always curious as to what he's going to do when he gets thrown out of the restaurant, which happens at the end of the, spoiler alert, when he gets thrown out at the end of the film. What does he do after that? Does he continue to be mad, or does he think about what happened and try and readjust his thought process around maybe he did something, maybe there was something there, he just wasn't, his worldview was shaken, so maybe he needs to adjust his worldview a little bit. But he is just a puppet. So I don't know. As an actor, of course, I've been a waiter and a bartender and a temp. But when I lived in the East Coast for a while, in New York for a couple years, and I was a broke actor, artist, did that for a couple years, and one of my jobs was a bartender and a waiter, probably more a bartender than a waiter. And I used to work at these bars that would open up at about 11 or 12 at night, and then they were kind of private openings, so we'd be open till like 6 the next morning all night, and it was all cash. And we would there was plenty of instances where people got out of hand, but I don't know if there was a specific situation like this. Happened on an airplane once. There was a couple on an airplane that got into it pretty physically, got into an altercation pretty physically on the plane. So that was fun. It was in the middle of a flight from Los Angeles to Dublin. So we're right in the middle of it. There was much that they could do. I think they separated him and stopped serving them booze, probably. Cut him off. And I think they were American, actually. Yeah.
Classy American.
Classy Americans. Spreading our love all over across the country. Working with the cast has been great. Like I said, one of the main drivers for me doing this part was to get to work with a puppet. So that's been really interesting to work with Bill, who I'm sure you'll talk to. It's a whole new dynamic to this filmmaking process that I've never been involved with. I have worked sort of with puppets, but I was the one kind of working it. So having to, not only as the actor Seth, is my choice to look directly at the puppet in its eyes, but it's also the choice of the character Troy. Am I going to give him the power of looking into his eyes when I'm addressing him, or am I looking at the other character on the set? So it's interesting. It's fun. We've only rehearsed like once a week for probably 3 weeks, something like that. So it's one night a week. It's not too heavy. That's also different for me. We don't usually there's not a regular rehearsal process. Sometimes there's somewhat. Really depends on the director and things like that. But I haven't had a lot of experience with that with film also. So that was a change. It was almost more of a theatrical process here. Having a tech rehearsal. And I think a lot of that has to do with the puppet piece of it. That's something that none of us have really worked with before, except for the puppeteer. So I think Roman really wanted to make sure that the shots that he was composing, he could get while there is another human in front of the camera that you're not supposed to see, basically. So it's been very interesting.
I'm Rob Sim. I'm here at Capital City Theater working on a short film directed by Roman Martinez called The P Word. I am playing the host of Chez Louis, a very classy restaurant. As I'm approaching my character, I'm kind of like, this is the pinnacle. He's wanted to be here for a long time, and he's prepared for the worst. This is the first time I've ever worked in film. I've done plenty of plays at Pinnacle Theater and other venues. Worked actually with Roman one time before. We were in a play called From Time to Time, directed by Valerie Steele. and that was for Trill Productions, and that was back in 2018. So, wonderful friendship with Roman, great guy to work with. He's very good at making this whole process very easy to do. There's a few differences between doing a play, a performance on stage, and doing a film. One of the main things I've noticed is the process is much more, I don't want to say broken up, but it's compartmentalized, and it's quite different, and I'm learning a whole lot. The rehearsal process is quite different, where in a play you would like run a scene and then get some notes and then be going back and redoing the scene. Doing a film, it's pretty much you're expected to know your lines right there and then, whereas in a play process, you know, it's like, okay, well, you're holding your script and, you know, get off book as soon as you can. The rehearsal process for film doesn't have to be as long, whereas for a play you could be rehearsing for months and months, whereas for a film, you're just making much more compact use of your time. Okay, so the premise of this film, as I'm understanding it, there's a puppet as a waiter, and it's about kind of acceptance of diversity. This one is interesting in that we have a puppet who should be the actual focus of your view, but then listening to the puppet's voice, voiced by Bill there, he's not there, so it's a very interesting contrast to be listening to this voice coming from over here, but yet interacting with a puppet who's right there. A challenge, sure, but I like to think that I've got this. Things start out wonderfully. It's a nice, smooth evening. A date comes in, and they are seated. Everything goes well. And then, unfortunately, the young man has an issue with a puppet. And as the host, still trying to keep things calm and clear and relaxed, he still has to step up and say, you have to leave now.
Hi, my name is Zach Torres. We're here at Capital City Theater in Salem. We're on the shoot for Roman's original script, P-Word. I met Roman through a mutual friend. He's also done one of our music videos, so I'm actually an artist in a hip-hop group called Seductive 3, and Roman's done, like I said, a few of our music videos, and he's actually going to do a music video for this short that he's doing, and we wrote a song for it. And in that music video, I will be with the puppet that I shot the scene with. And so yeah, that's how this came about. I've no acting experience. He just asked if I'd come and be an extra, and I thought it'd be fun, and here I am. So the song is about talking about the discrimination against puppets, and how we need to accept everybody. And the song is called ABCs of Acceptance. So it's going about kind of a parody on just accepting everybody, even puppets. And my verse that I did for it was a sexual sin with a puppet girl, if you will, and how it's okay to love a puppet and that kind of stuff. We had a lot of fun making the song. Roman was involved the whole time making the song, so it was just a really cool experience. So Bill was in charge of running the puppets. He was very funny, very witty with his movements and stuff like that as far as moving with the puppet. I've never performed with a puppet before, but it was he made it a lot of fun. It was he did a really good job with it.
He's so hot. Are you filming? 'Cause he is hot. You can tell him that.
Because he really was smitten with you, I have to say.
He took two of his buttons. He took off of his shirt. He came with, it was all buttoned up and he had a tie on. He looked square and then he took it off. It smells. Okay, so it was really good. Especially the pizza. And the actors were really nice too. There's one, I don't want to name his name because he's close. You can, no, don't, over here, yes, over here. He's very touchy, and if you say the wrong thing, he gets he was hitting me earlier, and I didn't tell Roman because I know Roman, he doesn't take kindly to that sort of thing. He would have kicked him out. But he's one of the leads, right? I think he's a Baldwin brother. Like, okay, so when I didn't have lines, I could look down and then see what I was looking at, see them, right? And then I could look back up when it was my line again. That's the whole point. Everyone wants photos. Everyone. And I told Roman early on, I sell them for 25 cents. It's nothing. Everyone has a quarter somewhere underneath their couch sofa or in their bed, in their change drawer, but he was like, no, we do it. I'm getting a photographer to do it, and we don't have to charge them, but we could have made a mint. That's better than tips.
Isn't capitalism what it's all about?
Yeah, this is the capital city theater we're in, so why not make some capital? It's a nice place. It got an exit sign by the exit in case there's a fire or monkeys.
Monkeys are dangerous.
They are. You never know when they're going to strike. Vanessa, she's kind of a gold digger, So I started as a busboy, and now I'm making $13 an hour. So she's been like draining me as far as the money, and I don't know how long it's gonna.
Kind of a gold digger, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want to judge your relationship.
No, I know. She'll
No.
never find out because she doesn't watch art films.
Oh, that's kind of a bummer.
Yeah,
Was there
whatever.
something you wanted to share with the class, Seth? I heard that sort of.
No,
He
I'm in
has
total agreement with
Really?
the individual of FELTIC origins.
My name is Joyce Kemp, and we're here in Salem at the Capital City Comedy Theater, and we are setting up tech for the film of The P Word, written and directed by Roman Martinez. This is going to be a real fun experience. I'm actually serving as a prompter for this film, and this is actually my first attempt at working with any kind of film in the film industry, other than having the privilege of being extra in some major movies, which was kind of fun, but you don't get the backstage experience like you do with this tight little group. Most of my experience has been in theater for the last 28, 30 years. And so this is a very new adventure for me, getting to work with film. Film and theater are so completely different. Theater obviously requires a lot longer rehearsal time for blocking and memorization of lines, and because you have one opportunity to be out there on the stage. With film, it's been really lovely. We've had a shorter, more compact rehearsal schedule where we can do stops and starts, and then the director, who is also editing and he's written and produced and he's done it all, can put his film together as he sees it working, so it's been very interesting. This has been a real fun adventure. So this cast has been absolutely wonderful to work with. One of the characters I've actually worked with in other things and on stage, and but like I say, have not done any film work with anyone. Film is very different again in the fact that I discussed the stopping and starting before, but you also have to have those tight angles where the lighting is crucial and the expressions are crucial, whereas on the stage, it's more widely performed.
Hi, I'm Chris Pelka. I'm one of the co-owners of Capital City Theater. So Roman reached out to us. He had said that he had always sort of envisioned this room as a good place to film. And when he reached out to us and told us about the project, we were very excited to have the opportunity to have it filmed here, because it sounds like something we'd be really into. We're a comedy club, and this sounds like a really funny thing. And so that's just something that we thought was a good match. So we've got a somewhat small comedy club. We fit about 60 to 70 people when we're sold out. And we do comedy, improv, all sorts of things. We have a comedy, like an improv class that we do every week, and we use this space for that. We also do things like this, filmings, and sometimes we'll have people come in and do work exercises and that sort of thing. Statesman Journal did a special night where they told stories and that sort of thing. So the space gets used for whatever we can use it for. So a couple of years, I guess it was about a year and a half ago, I actually got to play the primary villain in a friend of mine's movie, Blackfinger, which was sort of like Goldfinger, but not. And that was a lot of fun. Being around production is super cool. One of our other co-owners is, he was a big film student, and movies are just one of his passions. And I just like to see the wheels turn. It's a lot of fun to watch that happen before you get to see the finished product. So we have an eclectic green room. There's basically everything on the walls is either from shows or movies we enjoy. But there's a lot of crazy stuff that is on the walls, and it's sort of an homage to all the craziness that goes on here in this theater. Yeah, so we just want to say thanks to Roman and the crew and cast, and you know, it's an honor being able to be a part of this project. We look forward to seeing it.
Hi, I'm Ken Hill. I came to be an extra in this show when I met Roman at a farmer's market up in Portland, and just started talking, and we have shared interests, and then he invited me to do this. It's been fun.
Hi, I'm Nick Dent, and I met Roman just through the community over the years, and he's done a lot of filming, and I've just bumped into him here and there. We've we really like a lot of the same things, so I'm just happy to be here.
My name's Kathy Willoughby, and I also met Roman last year working on a short film project, but I've run into him a few times at Gallery Theater, McMinnville, and I love combining both my love of theater and of film.
I'm Mike Paul, and I do not know Roman personally, but I was at a film screening in McMinnville, and his name came up, and so I was invited over, and it's very interesting and very informative. I really like it.
I'm Matthew Kaler. I met Roman last year. We acted together at a play in McMinnville, Oregon, the Gallery Theater.
Okay, dogs don't hiss though.
All right.
I wasn't trying to.
Behind leads extras, places please. Ooh, I tell you what, I gotta say, it's this mixture of love and it's this mixture of anxiety, because I absolutely love what I do, but I'm anxious at the same time. Just want to get it done, but at the same time I'm enjoying it and I don't want it to end. So, you want to hear about today? So, the P word, like at the last couple weeks, I got my shot list, I got my storyboard, I got my schedule, I had a photographer, so I had the photographer's schedule outline, I had general talent release forms, I had to get a photo with the puppet, sign-up sheet for people. I emailed all the extras. I had my P word Facebook group. It was just like so many spinning plates, and I'm used to, in my productions, doing it my own way. And I would say that this is actually, the P word is the very first production where we got some real professional people on board. I mean, we had a professional, like in Ophelia, we had a sound guy, and then another gentleman who was also kind of the sound person in that as well. But these guys were like, yeah, I want to join the P word, I want to do it, and networking and everything. So we had a camera guy, bring his camera assistant. We had the sound guy. So we had Daniel Smith with Jacob Sundahl, Devon Robinson. Had some really good people. Plus, my homie Jeff Kemp and his mom Joyce Gardner Kemp. Plus, we had a fabulous cast: Megan Rochelle, Seth Allen, Bill Holznagel as the puppeteer, Robert Sim, and then we just had a whole host of extras, wonderful extras, who were very enthusiastic. And I will say we did get behind schedule. We did not meet all my scheduling. But again, that's me thinking in the way that I make my films versus, okay, I got a crew here, and every shot is like a science to them, with the lighting, with the sound, with the setup. and I had to let go of it. And I think all my time was like, how much longer are we going to do it? And I did not want to be negative about it. I want to shut down the magic, and I didn't want to look like I was ungrateful, because these guys were dedicating their time. You know, couple guys, you know, like they volunteered, and I gave them a little compensation because they didn't even know they were getting compensation, but I was very thankful for them to, you know, come on board. The setups took a long time. However, I will say it was all worth it because the setups were beautiful. They were absolutely, I mean, it's like they had their game. It was professional looking, all the shots. And that's really, that's the thing I get out of it, is like it felt like I was doing Love a Clown again, only I had some other people doing it, because it was just the beauty, the sumptuousness, like I was saying earlier about the shots. You know, you wanted to just take it in. The actors look so beautifully framed. Eventually, what I do want to have is I do want to have like post-production meetings. I do want to have that again as I get more into the idea of networking with other filmmakers and really creating like a spine of consistency, you know, consistent content between all of us. Build a staple, a kind of a co-op. You know, it's like you help me out, I help you out, and there could be monies exchanged too. You know, like we could pay each other, but you know, right now I just want to try to do it as minimalist as possible. Let's use our resources before we start getting into, oh, you know, let's throw money at it, you know. And in my own productions, I'm okay with throwing money at it because I have total control over it. But, you know, when it comes to other people, you have to kind of rein it in and get them started at a certain, you know, at a certain place and then grow it. You know, but the P word was so great. It was so great. And I just love the fact that we had extras. This is the first time I worked with so many extras. And there was like 36 people in total for the whole day for everything, for crew, for cast, you know, for leads, for extras. Because I had to do the head count for the pizzas. You know, that was another thing of getting everybody fed and making sure that they had their food, you know. So I approached the Seductive Three, Ruben Perez, Zach Torres, and Stephen Fouch, to do a song for the P word that was very much about, you know, anti-racism, you know, well, anti-puppetism, you know, to kind of further the message along, you know, of the whole acceptance and everything. We made it into a song a few weeks ago. We recorded it into a song at Stephen's place. The music video is forthcoming. It's not finalized. Like, I don't have a shot list. I don't have like a full production schedule. I have some ideas we're all kind of sharing, but we don't have, I think there's a pretty good chance that we will do a music video for it, but right now it's just kind of like it's still, you know, it's kind of up in the air a little bit. But we all want to do it. It's just nailing down schedules, you know. We did an earlier music video called BBG, which really turned out fantastic, and that's why I want to work with them again for a music video for P Word. If that happens, that would be added at the end of the P Word. So you'd have the P Word and then the music video. And we could reuse the puppets, which is great. I mean, Ophelia is going to take a lot of work in terms of getting the basic edit, music laid down for it, effects put on, sound synced up. I mean, it's a mountain to climb. P Word is, I think, going to get out first before Ophelia, just because it's a smaller amount of time. But it's still got a lot of work with P Word. I mean, it's just a matter of getting the basics down, beginning the basic process down for Ophelia, and then just doing, you know, really working on the P Word, just concentrated on it so we can get it out to festivals and really keep the momentum up, because a lot of people are interested in it. So I don't want to. One of the biggest things I know with people when they get involved in a film project, like actors, is it's really such a negative, it leaves such a bad taste in people's mouths. They devote all their time to this project and they're like, well, where is it? You know, I've done that in my past, like where I've made short films and it's like I've never done anything with them, and that's going to change. I mean, I want to. Right now, it's about getting a screening done, like kind of creating my own film festival, and then it's also about, well, choosing some kind of website, maybe putting it on YouTube as a last resort. I just don't like YouTube for that, though, because you put all this work into it, and I don't want it to get just like 20 views, you know, good amount of word of mouth on it. You know, I'd love it if P-Word got like a couple million views, you know? I think it deserves it. If anything, just to get the word out and showcase all these people, you know, who were in it, you know, and the talents of everybody involved, and showing that you can really make a small budget short film together, you know, and make it look awesome and fun and entertaining.
Being able to just work with civil, nice people is more important to me than anything else.
Oh, yeah. Everybody was so cool on the P-Word. Everybody.
yes.
Every single cast member, every single crew member, every single extra. I mean, everybody was so cool and so patient and just, my God. And that, yeah, Mike and Jerry were lovely people. And, you know, we had Kathy Willoughby, you know, she showed up, and it was great, you know, getting to see her. And I mixed her with Ken Hill, who I had met down at the Portland market. We talked, and he's a really nice, friendly guy, and getting to, again, networking. That's how you thrive, you know? It's networking. It's people depending on each other. All right. First of all, I want to say thank you to everybody. Thank you to Caroline O'Brien here, who's doing this fabulous documentary on the P-Word. Thank you for all your time and coming out. Thank you to Megan Rochelle, Seth Allen, Bill Holznagel, Robert Sim, our wonderful cast, Jeff Kemp, Joyce Gardner Kemp, Daniel Smith, Jacob Gray Sundown, Devon Robinson. I want to say thank you to Chris Pelka, Lee Shadlow, and Jared Richard at Capital City Theater in Salem. Beautiful venue. Thank you to Custom Puppet, who designed the puppets. Beautiful puppet jobs. Totally endorse them. And I want to say thank you to all the extras. There's so many names there. Special shout out to Zach Torres for putting his all in with the puppet girl. Couldn't ask for anything better. And for Ruben Perez and Noah Miller for their lines that they delivered. For Ken Hill for doing the Heimlich maneuver. And for Rebecca Emily for doing such fabulous photos of everything, capturing the entire event. And Mom and Dad for the use of the car and for coming all the way out. Thank you, Mom and Dad. Love you guys.
DJ, drop me a heavy beat. Not that heavy. I got a little something to tell you. Don't ever judge somebody because they different. It don't matter if they black, white, brown, green, blue, purple. Because we're all the same on the inside. Even if some of us have a hand up our behinds.
It don't matter if you're black, white, red, or blue. Doesn't matter if you're made of felt string and glue. Love is stronger than hate if you give it a chance and spell the ABCs of acceptance.
I remember being 13, first time I seen one of them things. Walking down the street and I just knew it was like you and me, just a little bit different, so I was a bit mean. But deep down I was terrified, cause that day I realized